Hello and welcome to this Excel tutorial for creating an invoice on Microsoft Excel. Now in this tutorial what I'm going to show you is how you can create a simple invoice and in Excel, so that you can, whether you are running a small SME or if you have a freelance work and you charge people, or even if you have a small company and on a daily basis you have to provide an invoice to the clients, then this tutorial will help you how to do it. Okay, so first of all, I'm just using this illustration as in this illustration as a rental car company or transport company, and if you look at the rates, I have a Toyota Land Cruiser, tipper truck and coaster bus that is on Aya, and these are the daily rates. Okay, so the invoice, we're going to reference this vehicle and the rate as well, so we're going to apply them in the invoice. So this is your first data set, but this data can be, depending on your business, your service fee or your products that you sell, or anything that you charge and sell to the customers. So that is your list. Okay, so your rates, your service rates, your product and the pricing, or whatever you use, whatever the product or the service and the rate that you charge the clients. So that piece of information is very, very important for the invoice. So I'm going to convert this into a table so that Excel will remember this as a data set. So I click here anywhere in the table, I go to insert, and I'm going to insert this as a table, and this is going to be my my services. Okay, so services is going to be my table, and I'm going to remove the filter button, and I can choose the style that I want, but I'll leave it blue for now. And then I'm going to select this column and go to home and apply the money format. So I'm going to choose this as a currency, so it looks good. So this is my first set of data that I will pull up for the invoice. So that's the rate, the vehicles and the rate. Next data that I will need is the customer. Who are the customers? So all your customers, you keep them, their phone number and the email address, and even if you have some other details you can add, but for now we'll just say the customer name. Okay, customer name, and then you have the phone and you have the email. Those will suffice for now. So I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to head insert table and my headers, and this is going to be my customers table. Okay, so that's going to be my customers, so I name them as tables, customers. I remove the filter button, and now I have a customer table, and I have rates for the services or the vehicle rates. And now I'm going to combine the customer and the rates and create the invoice. So I go to the invoice, and first thing you need to do is you just have to create just a table like this. And because this is a vehicle type, I'm just putting say item or vehicle. Okay, I'm just going to put it as item. Okay, so this is your item or vehicle that you're going to, and then the rate will pop up here. So that's what we want. So first thing you need to do is you need to put this column in place, and then you put the total. This is where the total will go in, and you do the preview. Okay, so go to file and you do a print preview and look at how it's going to look like. So this one looks good, it fits well into my one page. So that's all I need. Then I'm going to go back and add my other details that I want to add on. So before I do that, let me just finish this table first. And what I'm going to do is this one here 2, I'm going to bold it, and this 2 here is going to look up the customer from this customer table, the customer name. So I click on that customer cell, and then I'm going to go to data. Now before I do that, one more thing. Before I do that, I go here and to customer, and at this moment the customer table is remembering this data set as a table, but I want it to pick up only the customer name. Okay, this column here, this column only. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this column, and I'm going to create a name range for this column. Name range, that is very important. So I'm going to go to formulas and create from selection. Okay, so and here it says, okay, so you are trying to create names from values in. So what I'm going to do is I'll leave it the top row because I want the list to be known by this customer name. So that's why I check this and I'll click OK. So when I click on here, I find that customer name, I'm referring to this column here. So I go back to my invoice, then I select a cell where I'm going to pull up the customer name. I go to data, and then I'm going to go to data validation, select that, and I'm going to make a list because it's going to be the drop down list. I'm going to leave the ignore blank as it is, so I'll leave it that. When it comes to the source, I'm going to pull up the customer list from the customer table or customer name. So what I'm going to do is I will now press F3. So F3. Okay, I'm going to press F3. So you check that on the keyboard and press F3. Now in the latest laptops that are being sold, you check your keyboard layout. Sometimes the function keys, you need to press another key called FN, FN for function keys, and then you press F3. Otherwise it will not F3 will not work. So just look out for that if you are using any latest laptops. But for standard keyboards on the desktops, it will work. Just press F3 and it will work. So I press F3, and then F3. So I press F3, and now I can see my customer and customer name. So I need the customer name, so I select on customer name, I click OK, and I will now click OK. Now if you look at this list here, I have my names listed here, Peter, Kama, and Gibson Alu. Now the other thing is that Microsoft does not help us to really increase the font size of the list. Okay, the list. But if you select the name, it's going to inherit the font size, so it will be like this. So you see, but make sure that you just have that in mind. The list font size is a bit small for some, but if you can see it, that's that's good. So here I'm trying to, whenever I want to bill a customer, I'll just pull up the customer from there. So if I had another person here and I said Grace John, okay. Grace John is another customer, so G John at outlook.com. Okay, so if I enter the customer data, I go to the invoice, you will see that your list is now increased to Grace John, Gibson Alu, Peter Kama. So you don't need to retype the customer again and again. You just have to do a selection. Okay, so that's set. We have connected the customer to the invoice. Now we're going to set up the actual rates and the price. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and select this column, and this column is going to reference the rates column. Okay, so we're going to do the same. So we select this, and then we're going to go to formula, create from selection, and this time we're going to use the row, not the column. So remove the column, and it's going to be the vehicle and the daily rate. Okay, so I click OK. Now if I look at the daily rate, this is the column it's going to reference, and if we go to the vehicle, this is the column. Okay, so that is set. Now I go back to my invoice, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this select the item or the vehicle that Peter Kama is trying to hire, that me typing in. So I go to my data set, data validation, same process, come back to list, and then I'm going to press F3, and then I'm going to get the vehicle. Okay, so the vehicle list is going to pop up here. So I click OK, and now if I select the vehicle list, I have all the Toyota tipper truck, Costa bus, whatever vehicle that I have will be listed here. Okay, but what is lacking now is I need the rate to apply as well based on this selection here. Okay, so that is where we're going to use the lookup or XLOOKUP function. So the function that we're going to use here for this rate column is going to be the XLOOKUP. Okay, XLOOKUP is the function that we're going to use to look up the rates, and based on the vehicle the rates will apply. So I click on the rate, and then I'm going to type in XLOOKUP, and then the lookup value. What am I going to look up? So I'm going to look up this value here, whatever I select in the item, and it's going to match that with what data. So the lookup array or the lookup table will be the rates. Okay, so let's see, services. So I go to services table, then I press the open bracket and a square bracket, and you'll see that all the services table and the columns are listed there. So vehicle, that's the vehicle that is going to be matched with what is being selected here. Then what is it now? What is, so if it matches, then what is the value that's going to be under the rates column? We want from the same services, we want it, if it matches, we want the daily rate to show up. So that's all we need. So we put our, and then we close. So you can see that what we are saying here is Excel to look up this item that is being picked, or the vehicle being picked. Go to the services table, which is the rates table here, rate worksheet here, and match it with the vehicle. If it matches, then you pull up the rate of that vehicle and display it here. That's what we are saying. So I click OK. Now it's saying not applicable is because I didn't select here yet. Okay, so if I go and select maybe a tipper truck, or let's say tipper truck, then 800 appears. If I select the coaster bus, then 1000 appears. So that looks good. Then we're going to type in the days, and the total will appear. Before you do that, you convert this one into a table first. Okay, so I'll just make this, inside it as a table, and my table is set as yes, so it looks colorful in a sense. And then I can remove the filter button, and now I can set this one here and set it as a format, this as a currency format. And now I'm going to apply the days, and my total will be, I will just type in and then put the open square bracket, and the total will be the rate, okay, times by the number of days. Okay, so that's it. So that will be my arrays. Yes, and now it's going to be days. So if I type in say 4 days, then it's going to be 4000. So if I select another one and say okay, it's also going to add the Land Cruiser as well, then I pull the data down, it will look like this, but it's showing so I'm going to now, so it's going to hire for 1 day, and then I'm going to pull down the data, and it's going to populate this as well. Now one more thing is that we didn't capture the error. Okay, so in the event that, like for in this case, what I'm going to do now is I will just say okay, enclose this if error. Okay. So if error, okay, in this function, then now I've captured I've enclosed it with if error, so that I don't want to see the NA all the way down. So just include the error if, so that will, if there's an error, then just put 0, so we don't want to see the NA down. That doesn't look good. So now it's set. Now if we look at the data set, now looks complete, but we still have to set out other few important elements, and that is, I'll bold this one, that is this part here where I can put my logo and my due date. So what I'm going to do is I will take date or invoice number, and then invoice date, and then you need to put in the invoice due date. Okay, invoice due date. So what I'm going to do is this is where I'm going to enter the invoice number, and this is where I'm going to enter the invoice date. So I'm going to select this as a date, short date, and this is where I'm going to plus it with 14 days. Okay, so I'm going to plus this with 14 days. So 14 days, and that is going to be the date. So if I say, for example, if I type in 16 to 25, then the 14 days due date is going to be on the 2nd of March. After 2 weeks, it's going to be the 2nd of March 2025. So it will calculate it for you when you enter the invoice date, and then you have to, of course, enter the invoice number. So now we're going to fill in a little bit of the, so I'm going to push this down a bit by inserting another row, and I'm going to insert just illustration. So I'm going to insert a shape so that will look like a smiley face. That's my logo, and I'm going to type in, fill the color with orange. That's my logo. And now I'm going to go to a text box. Okay, insert text box, and you get a text box like this. And I'm going to type in, say, Carnegie Transport Limited, and then I'm going to type in my details. PO box, say 100 Boroko NCD, and then my phone, my email, and that will be Carnegie Transport at gmail.com. So you got the idea. So you, whatever your company name and those things, you put it here in a text box so you can move it around. You increase the font size to maybe 14, and you color that out as blue. So I'm going to put this as blue, and then you increase your email, your what is all there. And I'm just going to push this another few columns here, insert, and then I'm going to push this one up a bit. So that's my logo on the side, and that's my company details, and these are the invoices. I'm going to put another big word hard here, and I'm going to type in as invoice. Now this is too big, so I'm going to reduce the size, format, and I'm going to reduce the size to small. 54 is too much, so I'm going to reduce it down to maybe 20, depending, because I want it to go into this space here. I don't want it to go overblown the page. Okay, so there it is. Now you have a invoice, so you can specifically spell out the font size and color that you want. I'm going to put a color like this, and that's going to be my invoice. And this way I'm going to enter my invoice number, and I'm going to bold this all. And now this is going to be my customer 2, and I can even put my IRC TIN number as well, so I can put the TIN, IRC TIN, and then you can have your company text file number, whatever the number is. So now I'm done, but one thing that is missing here is that I don't want this text box to be wrapped around in a border. So I go to format shape, and I'm going to take the outline and no outline, so it looks straight. And then also I'm going to put a little bit of text in the bottom here. That's for my text box here, and that will show my account numbers. So I'm going to say make all payments to, and then say Carnegie Transport Limited, account number, whatever the number is, and then say BSP Bank South Pacific, and then Organi Banking Center, and also you type in the bank BNB number. Okay, so bank or branch number for electronic transfers. So So you do that, and then that looks good, so you expand it, you bold it, because you have to make that payment to a correct account. So this is important piece of information. So you put it right there, and then you do the same format, remove the outline, no outline, and now I'm set to go. This is my total. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to sum this total here. So I go sum, and I'm going to sum what? This is going to be the invoice. What's the table name we give to this one? Let's see, this one, table, that's table 5, so it's going to be invoice table. Invoice table. So now I'm going to sum. What am I going to sum? Invoice table, and column I'm going to sum is the total. Okay, so that's it. Now my total is 4,900, and that's the invoice that I'm going to send to Mr. Peter Kama. So you have the. So one more thing, if you look at your file, you go to print, and if you see the print preview, this is your invoice. So you have the invoice number, you write, and 2, and then you have your logo and everything in place, and this is your invoice that you can print, or you can send to print as a PDF, or you can even export as a PDF, and you can send it to whoever you want to send the invoice to. So one more thing is, when you look at this one here, our invoice doesn't look good. So I'll just draw a line across, insert illustrations, and then take a shape, and I'm going to draw a line across this part here, so that it's I press the shift key and you move it across. So now that I have a line drawn, I'm going to go and make it more like a little bit big, and this is the color that I want to choose, a blue color, and that kind of set the rest of the information, or the customer information, apart from the logo area. And last and final is to remove the grid lines. So remove the grid line, and your invoice looks fantastic here. So every time you want to invoice someone, then what you can do is just go here and reuse this invoice again and again. So your invoice is going to be the printout that you get, or the printout that you export to either like file, export to PDF. That's the one that you're going to file and manage it for your record purposes. But this invoice, what here, is where you're going to just go and then invoice as per customer request. That's how you set up your small invoice. I hope this video is helpful to you, so that you don't need to look for any expensive software. You can manage it, your customers and your service and the rates. If you can build up this invoice, then it will help you a lot to managing your invoice, because invoice is very important for your business, right? Because without the invoice, nobody's gonna pay you. So you have to create the invoice, and that is how you do it.